Shalom, shalom. Shalom, Israel, shalom. Sit up here. All right, as always, first and foremost, I'm going to give all honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, who taught us, who led us as the heads of the house of David. Unto you we say shalom, as well as the Akim and Aqua that are out here listening and learning, sincerely studying to show your election approved. Unto you we say shalom as well. All right, now I thought I would just switch up a little bit, bring us out here to nature, take a look at some of this beautiful water, you know, this serene view. Jake loves water. It's just in our spirit. When you look back at our homeland and our origins and where we come from, we've come from a beautiful paradise, man, right off the coasts, right? So it's only natural that Jake has this infatuation with the water, though they say we can't swim, which is utter nonsense. Anyway, I would like to just thought I'd bring us out here, man, and do something a little bit different. Now, Salaki, it's a bit windy out here, so I'm going to have to project my voice a little bit as a lot of the wind is moving through the trees here as I'm here. But again, just bear with me, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this started. Now, today's lesson is called Sorry, China. We got next, addressing Max Kaiser. All right. Now, in recent news, it was reported that China is expected to be the next ruling power of the world due to the obvious weakening of America's empire. Our financial structure and political issues have put a huge strain on what was once the most feared empire in existence. Right? Now, on the decline, China is believed to be the next rule on the planet. All right. But the question is, ruling in what? More wickedness? More folly? Because that's all that's been happening all throughout the earth, right? So this is why the name of this lesson is Sorry, China. We got next. Now, but for education purposes, I'm going to pull some scriptures and we're going to speak on the pride and destruction of that country vainly believed to be the next up to bat. All right. Now, before we go into this, what I need to do is mention this is kind of a lesson that was inspired by the elders of GMS, Apostle Gabar and Apostle Tahar. They actually touched on some of these things, and this is what we do as the men of the Lord. Of course we follow the heads, for edification purposes, but also, and even all the other brothers that are around scattered about the world, just for ideas and inspirations. You know what I mean? As watchmen, also keeping a watch on what's going on in the news, so we'll bring it out in real time, just to keep the sheep abreast of what's going on. All right. So I pray that this lesson is edifying. All right. When speaking on this matter, so I just wanted to mention that. All right, so Lord willing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Now, this article I found on RT News talking about the matter. The host of RT Kaiser report note that the global perception in advanced economies has shifted so that China is seen as the world's #1 economic power. Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert discusses the study by the Pew Research Center about the world's leading economic power at the moment. The result of the study showed that among the advanced economies, 48% of the public's view of China as the #1 power, while 35% think the United States. And among the Germans, 55% pointed to China, and only 17% to the U.S. It's a changing of the guards, says Max, addressing. So we are moving from the American century to a Chinese century, no doubt. He points out that the U.S. dollar, as the world's reserve currency, had about a 100-year run, and now that power is shifting right now. So when we go into that 100-year run of the world's reserve currency, that was established back in 1914, right, through a secret meeting that was held off the coast of Georgia in a remote location. And this meeting would lay the foundation for what's known today as the Federal Reserve Bank, the creature from Jekyll Island. If you're not familiar with that, I suggest that you actually do some research. Also, you can go on my channel here, and I actually did a lesson on that as well. So I pray that that be edifying to you as well. Now, also, I watched Gabar's video, and he suggested that we look up the Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner, all right, and his visit to China, where he was openly mocked by the Moabites for his comments on China's investments being safely secured in the American economy, which we know is just a joke, all right? And I quote, poor Tim Geithner. He already comes off as kind of a nervous and insecure when talking in public. But at least in the U.S., the people only who have ever bothered him are crazed cold pink activists. But in China, representing the country as the chief bond salesman, The man named to People's 50 most beautiful peoples list was openly mocked. In his first official visit to China since becoming Treasury Secretary, Mr. Geithner told politicians and academics in Beijing that he still supports a strong U.S. dollar and insists that the trillions of dollars of the Chinese investments would not be unduly damaged by the economic crisis. Speaking at the Peking University, Mr. Geithner said Chinese assets are very, very safe. The comment provoked loud laughter from the audience of the students. Of course, so why was he being openly mocked and why was he being laughed at? Because the prophets, which are the Lord's mouthpiece, all right, are exposing them in their downfall here, all right, and the world is starting to see this real time. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, from whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Right, so their shame is being revealed. And who's the spirit of the Lord's mouth? The prophets that are out here bringing this out in real time. So you have to understand the world is starting to listen, all right, to thy worm Jacob, so to speak, you know, for those of us who are at the bottom, because it's just that time now, all right? Isaiah 47:3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, thy shame shall be seen, right? So again, through the mouthpiece of the Lord, we're making Esau bear out here. The world is beginning to see the downfall of this place, man. All right? The lies aren't working on the nations, and the kings of the earth who have drunken this wine of her political policies and her philosophies, her democracy. The Lord is unveiling Esau's shame, and the nations are sobering up and becoming wise unto the folly and the wickedness here, man. And that's all that's happening. Isaiah 25:7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all the people, and the veil that is spread over all the nations. And that's what we're seeing happen. There's been a veil that's been spread over the people here, man, on the earth. All right, well, people haven't been able to figure out who the wicked is and who's really, you know, the mastermind behind all of this folly that's been going on. And the Lord is slowly peeling away that layer, so to speak. All right, so that's what's starting to happen here. All right, so the nations of the earth are starting to see who the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan is. All right, Esau Edom. All right, here in the latter days. All right, in this time, the Lord is showing the world who the son of perdition truly is. All right. 2 Thessalonians 2:6. And now ye know that Salakia. And now ye know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. So we are living in his time right now. Okay. And who's him are we talking about? Again, Esau Edom, the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, here on earth, right here, that have been joined with us this whole time, man. 2 Thessalonians 2:9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders. Of course, this is why America is the lead power here on the earth, man. This is why everybody follows after the beast. It's technology, it's military, all of that. All right, so we're starting to see that in real time. Which brings me again to Isaiah 14:10. All that they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou hast become as weak as we? Art thou hast become like unto us? Right, so this is what the nations are starting to see. This is where that laughter, all right, and that mocking comes from. All right, Esau is beginning to be exposed on a global scale. All right, and now the nations are puffing up, so to speak. They're becoming proud, because at one point we were the only nation on the planet who had weapons of mass destruction. You remember Bush, man, running around all through the earth, you know, claiming that this nation and that nation had weapons of mass destruction. That's so we can send his troops in over there and go over there and steal the resources. All right, set up puppets to run the economy to follow along with the agenda. All bullshit madness, Salakia. So now the nations are starting to see that. All right, and that alone kept the nations in fear and in check. All right, so no one would dare basically step up to the bully, you know, which is Esau, you know, the Americans, so to speak here. All right, because what would happen? Esau would come with his mighty ones and he would take us down. All right, case in point, what he did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all right, in Japan, dropping the first ever atomic bomb on a small island of people, man. An atomic bomb. All right, that to this day they still show signs and effects of what was done here, man, and what these devils did. Revelations 13:13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from the heaven and on the earth in the sight of men. And that's exactly what that's talking about, man. So now here in the latter days, the nations have their own ICBM missiles, man. All right, and are now getting ready to now they're getting bold, man. All right, but this is all a part of prophecy. This is why you see China puffing up. Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. Right, eat thy bread, meaning trading with our money. Right, America being the head, you know, having the currency of the world. You know, that Confederacy goes all the way back to I want to say Slovakia, Psalms 83, 3 and 4. All the countries came together, you know, and had a confederacy, you know, against the children of Israel, you know, and all the contracts and all of the deals that America has made to get all of the nations in bed with her. All right, so now that this stuff is starting to happen, you know, America unawares, because of the pride of this place, is beginning to get ready to be brought down, basically. Psalms 83, 3 and 6. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They have consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. Who? Come who? All the other nations, and cut who off from being a nation? The children of Israel. So that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. Hence, that's why you call yourselves African American, Jake. That's why you call yourselves black, Jake. That's why you call yourself Egyptian, in that Egyptian Egyptology, Jake, because they have hid. Okay, they have the power to hide the history, man. You have to understand that. All right, they are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, and Moab, and the Hagarenes. See, notice the Lord specifically named the main three: Esau, the so-called white man; Ishmael, the Arabs; Moab, the Chinese. Okay, in that order. Okay, with Esau heading or spearheading this whole wickedness. All right, so these three nations have been an absolute terror unto the children of Israel, man, past and present. All right, so their confederacy is being evident, all right, through the years. Now you fast forward to today, China still has a thing for the American dream, man. All right, now James Watson, an anthropology professor at Harvard University, who has been visiting China since the end of the Cultural Revolution, says the Chinese want the American lifestyle, a modern lifestyle, the way they think Americans live. Right. And why not? Slovakia. After half a century of isolation under the Communist Party, the Chinese are desperate to catch up. Chinese, young and old, are tired of political movements, says a Western correspondent in Beijing. The American dream may be frayed at the edges, he adds, but Chinese still want the amenities associated with it. A car, a house filled with appliances, in short, the good life. American represents the idea in China, says the King Leo, CEO of Saatchi Advertising China. For the Chinese, it's the lifestyle that they aspire to, the spirit of America. Yeah, the spirit of wickedness, man. All right. So they certainly see enough of it. Mainland billboards, storefronts, television commercials, and next all of American mystique. All right, from the macho Marlboro cowboy, all right, to slam dunking of Nike's flyer, K.O. Dan, known elsewhere as basketball's star Michael Jordan. His airness actually outranked Mayo in one of recent mainland popularity surveys. Wow. Article goes on. The irony must irk even more. It is Uncle Sam who's driving much of the consumerism. That's correct. Despite what Beijing says, the Chinese can't get enough of America. The U.S. businessman based in Shanghai says it's created a real bizarre scheme. The government may paint a picture of America as the devil country, but the average Chinese looks at American with total fascination. Right. They all marvel after the beast, as scripture says, all right? So we know what devil country that's talking about here. We're in it. We're living in it, all right? Let me bring scripture. Revelations 18:2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is fallen, has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and every unclean and hateful bird. So as we said, the nations are starting to see who the wicked are here on the world, man. So let's go into a bit of Chinese, into the China story, in the Chinese history. All right, from the days of the ancient to the ancient dynasty, all the way up to the modern day today. So we can see how she's followed the whore of Babylon. Man. All right, this is pretty interesting. Matter of fact, I'll pull another scripture here. 2nd Esdras 15:46. And thou, Asia, that are partakers of the hope of Babylon, and are the glory of our purses. Now, Asia is synonymous with China, all right? They have been in bed with America for over 100 years, all right? 2nd Ezra 15:47. Woe unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. Exactly. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So this article is pretty interesting and just doing some research. So we're going to go through just a couple of topics and break those down so you're able to see exactly kind of how she's marveled after the beast. When talking about vanity, pride and vanity is a huge part of America's image. China has had no problem adapting to that trend. Cosmetics are now popular with China's fashion-conscious crowd, but entrepreneur opportunities are even bigger draw. Amway, Avon, Mary Kay all sell products through agents who gladly pay for the training sales kits. Not everyone in China craves richer hair, but almost everyone wants to get rich. The big draw is the chance to acquire what is now irresistible commodity, an American association. And that's what they want. They want to be associated with America. America's love for vanity has overtaken what was once a very meek and humble people in China. All right? But this, again, is all a part of prophecy. So we have to understand that. This is why we have to keep our eyes open. All right? We're going into clothes. Chinese clothing changed considerably over the course of some 5,000 years of history. From the Bronze Age into the 20th century, but also maintain elements of long-term continual during that span of time. The story of dress in China is a story of wrapped garments in silk, hemp, or cotton, and of a superb technical skill of weaving, dyeing, embroidery, and other textile arts are applied to clothing. After the Chinese Revolution of 1911, new styles arose to replace traditions of clothing that seemed inappropriate to the modern era. Right. Because you'll almost be looked down upon if you were wearing your traditional garments and everything. They're like, look at these weirdos, man. Why? Because, again, following after the beast, man. All right? So the modern meaning, modern America today, all right, the fashion world, as we like to call it, has influenced nations across the globe. Everyone wants that American culture, man, all right? And when you look at it, America's culture, what is it really? It's really the Israelite culture, the so-called black man's culture. Everything you see here, i.e. the commercials, the advertisement billboards, the movies, radio, all Jake's, all right? Our music, dancing, style of dress, everything cool about America goes back to Jake, all right? We're speaking on what's cool about America, all right? Because America itself has no culture. All right, so we're going into women's clothing. Even the ancient garments of the rulers used to wear are a thing of the past. Manchu banner robes and long gowns. Changzang, generally known as the West by its Cantonese pronunciation. Matter of fact, let me get that word here just so I don't want to butcher it. Cheongsam were established by fashionable women to be somewhat more tightly fitted, with a closure folded left over right to the shoulder, then down the right seam, sometimes with a slit at the knee high. This new style in colorful silks and rayons or printed cotton was widely publicized in calendar girls, advertising prints in the 1920s and 1930s of the American women, and soon became firmly entrenched as Chinese appropriaty of modern women wear. Right, so the cheongsam continued to evolve to become more form-fitting. And by the mid-20th century, it was widely accepted both in China and in the West as China's traditional women's dress. Right, so again, following after the beast, you know, showing more leg, more thigh, being more like a whore, basically. All right. So going into cheongsam and Manchu robes, the original traditional garments to the American style of what trend is. The glitz and glam of America's high fashion taste is a must in the eyes of the Chinese, desperate to be a part of the American wave. The turn of the 20th century, prestigious international brands were a common sight in the shopping districts in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Beijing, all right, and other major cities. The Chinese consumers were participating fully in the international fashion, right, being as America in every way, right? So when we look fast forward to today, they have fully adopted the American culture. You know, the fast food restaurants, urban music, hip-hop dances, miniskirts, breasts and their asses all out, right? Little boy shorts, camel toes, you know, in their shorts. These women are rocking complete American thought attire now, man. And this generation's appetite for fashion products is matched by its growing earning potential. So you see members of Lucky Generation generations parading the latest fashion nightly in their lively discos. The New York club in Shanghai, where a party goer was quoted in saying, "I come here most nights," says Willie, a 20-something trendoid dressed like his fellows dressed buddies in designer black. "We like to dance and party," he says. "We mainly like American style." Of course they do. All right. Again, this is marveling after the beast, man. All right. And we go into the hairdo. Essentially, to the clothed look of all adults was a proper hairdo. No respectable male adult would appear in public without some kind of head covering, whether it was a soft cloth cap for informal wear or a stiff black silk or horse-haired hat with wing appendages for officials of civil service. To appear with fair, unbound, and with garments that wrap the left is conspicuous. Yeah, is Confucius, Slovakia. But it was to behave as being uncivilized. So basically, you know, the things that they used to, you know, do when they were more civil, I should say, rocking their hair a certain way. These were all traditions. You know, and anything outside of their tradition was to be considered uncivilized, man. You know, they would be mocked at and looked at crazy, right? But again, this goes back to show how marveling after the beast has infected the whole world, man, and wickedness, man. Even when we talk about marriages, any intermarriage between the individuals of differing social status was forbidden by law. Marriage was arranged by parents under a wing of hired matchmakers. Now, see, that's funny because this lines up almost perfectly with Scripture, as we are told not to marry strange women, but to take women of our own royal lineage. All right, because our fathers, in their right mind, they understood that, man. They understood that, and especially Yasharala, because we don't want to defile our seed, man, all right, with the other nations. Tobit 4:12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of thy seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets. No, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. Why? Again, because we are the true royalty, man. Thy seed should not be defiled with other nations. All right? And that's just the way it goes. That's law. All right? Salakia. So even talking about politics. All right? Now in 1844, after signing with the Treaty of... Let me see if I did that because I don't want to butcher any words here. Signing with the Treaty of Wangsha, all right, that marked the beginning of the official diplomatic relations between the United States and China, the beginning of China's whoredom with America, right? Because in the ancient world, China was ruled by emperors, all right, and one of the last ruling emperors was Pu, from February 12th to 1912, February 12th, 1912 to October 17th, 1967. Pu was the last emperor of China and the 11th and final emperor of the Qing dynasty. Of the Qing dynasty. I don't want to butcher any of these words here, so Salaki if I'm stumbling, but just bear with me. So we see at one point they had emperors, all right, you know, that actually ruled, because as we know, a true kingdom, all right, a true nation should be ruled by kings, all right, but what's ruled by presidents, right, and senates or board of directors? A corporation. And that's exactly what America is. It's a corporation, man. All right, this is not a country. All right, this goes all the way back to Alexander the Greek, man, when they started in the first Rome, the first beast, all right, which was more diverse than all the other beasts. Meaning diverse, meaning the way it ruled, right? We've done away with the kings and set up senate houses and whatnot. So that's what this is talking about. We see China has, of course, done that same thing. All right, so let's continue back in 2 Ezra 15. And has decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please the glory of thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Right. So it's a known fact, man, that the wicked have always had a love affair. Right? Even when you look at the movie, The Full Metal Jacket, right? There's an iconic line in that movie which everybody knows: "Me love you long time." Everybody knows that. And that still echoes today in American culture. All right. In a recent article I found, it said the U.S. military has long enjoyed prostitution and indulgence in Asia. In fact, this has been central to the American military presence in the regions since the last World War II. While the senior American officials may pay lip service to the moral behaviors of their soldiers, their actions have long told a different story. Encouraging sex and good times for the men under their command has been an informal but consequential foreign policy for decades. Military prostitution serving U.S. forces has therefore become a cruel, lucrative part of local and national economies, wherever U.S. servicemen are deployed. Exactly. All right? So we hide under the guise of protection and peace and all that, but what do you do when we going over there? Nothing but complete wickedness and whoredom, man. This is why this place got to go. It's just got to go. It's got to go. All right? 2nd Ezra 15:48. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore, saith the Lord, I will send plagues upon thee, talking about China, widowhood, China, poverty, famine, the sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death. So this is what you got coming, China. All right, this is what this so-called next ruling power has got to look forward to, man. 2nd Ezra 15:50. And the Lord's word ain't gonna go out void. All right. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. 15:51. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and the lovers shall not be able to receive thee. Right. So when you go into that, this is talking about China, you know, because it's become extremely lucrative, all right, being in the bed with the whore, all right, and we know that, you know, when we look at the trade here, as a matter of fact, 28%, according to the data published by the United Nations Statistic Division, China accounted for 28% of global manufacturing output in 2018. That puts the country more than 10% points ahead of the United States, right? And why is that? Because we are consumers here, man. We don't produce anything, right? Which used to have the world's largest manufacturing sector until China overtook it in 2010, right? So even when we look at in recent news, Salakia, with that vessel that was stuck in the Suez Canal last week, all right, we are going to see financials effect of that, man. All right, we got it out the canal. No, they were losing tens of billions of dollars daily, man. And we're going to feel that ripple effect, man, no doubt. Isaiah 25:10. For in this mountain shall the hand of the Lord rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down from the dunghill. Trodden down for the dunghill, right? So as I said earlier, we're beginning to see a changing of the guards, man. The wealth of the world is being transferred as we speak. And it's a beautiful thing to see its demise, man. Sirach 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right, and to be honest, this is truly what the world is waiting for, man, on a spiritual level, man. Righteousness to be brought back into the earth, man. Peace, man. You know, beautiful, clean air, water, food. You know, spiritually, this is what the world is crying out for, man. Romans 8:19. For the earnest expectation of the creature awaited for the manifestations of the sons of the Most High. Now, what is that talking about? Earnest, meaning they're seriously waiting, patiently waiting for the manifestation of the sons of the Most High. And who is that? Yasharallah, to come back and rule in righteousness under Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, under King David and the ruling governing body and the rest of Israel, man. To put the world back in harmony, man. To put the world back in peace, man. All right? To bring everything back in righteousness. This place got to go. So again, we're so sorry, China. But Israel's got next. All right? So anyway, I just wanted to hit y'all with that lesson. You know, out here, you know, this beautiful scenery, man. I just thought that I'll come out here and share some of the view with you, and you know, and bring out some prophecy. So with that being said, I pray this lesson was edifying, and I want to say, call Halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Brakah Kodash. It's on to the next.